Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Let's jump out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline and chat with our guy Matthew Brune from the Bengal Tiger part of the On3 Network. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt, I'm doing well. There was no football practice today, so I'm not sunburned, not sweating. I feel good.
It's battle of the elements out there for the media. I understand. So we're a weekend. They've kind of put the pads on a little bit. One of the guys that I haven't asked much about with the guests that we've had rolling through over the last week is Mason Smith. Are you as high on him and the way that he's looked through a week as many are that haven't been out of practice and just kind of heard the name 5-star, got hurt last year, he's going to be a stud?
Yeah, I love Mason Smith. He's going to be really, really good. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's a first-round pick in about, 9 months or so. I think he's that good. I think he's that level of player. Last year, most people expected him to be, all SEC first-team type of player. Obviously, gets hurt first series of the season. But then this year, he's rehabbed, came back, looks sharp, looks spry, was able to go through individual stuff in the spring, and now is full go for the fall. So, yeah, I think Mason Smith's going to be really, really good.
We figure he's going to add a little bit of push in terms of rushing the passer, Mekhi Wingo a little bit as well. But on the edges, does LSU have what they need in terms of rushing the passer?
I think it's up for debate. I like Ovia Gofu, the transfer from Texas. I like Braden Swinson, the transfer from Oregon. Savion Jones, obviously, entering year 3, has high expectations. But overall, I still think this is a defense that's going to need Harold Perkins to be dynamic, whether that is off the edge, whether that's inside linebacker in different spots. I know they'll blitz him plenty, but they're going to need him to be a playmaker. And then I look at a 5-star freshman, Deshaun Womack, in a similar light of where we had Harold Perkins last year. Not saying he's going to be as dynamic, but I think he's too good to leave off the field. So, like I said, I like the starters and I like the experience, but I think you have to have Harold Perkins and Deshaun Womack as real game-changing type of disruptors.
Do you think LSU has enough at inside linebacker to move Harold Perkins, whether it's down to down or game to game?
I do. First of all, I love Omar Speights, the transfer from Oregon State, first team All Pac-12 last year. Incredibly versatile, covers really well. He's going to kind of take that Micah Baskerville role from last year, and I think he could very well be better than Micah Baskerville was. So I like Omar Speights. And then Greg Penn, who obviously started the entire year last year at linebacker, is kind of moved into that third role where he's kind of plugging in whenever Perkins moves around or just whenever they rotate. I still think Greg Penn is a fine linebacker. I'm not saying he's great, but I think he's serviceable for, if he plays 50% of the downs in a game. I think that's very much reasonable and doable. And then we got to figure out what the Weeks brothers can do, because I think Whit Weeks, the highly touted freshman, is going to be able to contribute, and his brother Wes Weeks is a veteran at this point. I think at the very least he's a solid rotation guy. So I think that they do have enough to move Perkins around.
A lot of folks a little concerned about corner. Now, we understand that the drills have much favored the wide receivers in terms of the structure of them. There's a lot of talent at wide receiver, too. Are you concerned with LSU's cover ability?
No, not really. I think that it is interesting to watch how this plays out, because there are so many names here that we try watching, and I think Zy Alexander has solidified himself as, in my opinion, quarterback number 1 through 1 week of practice. That could change. But then we look at Deuce Chestnut, who's not super big, not super long, but is very good positionally. You go down the list of if they move Greg Brooks down to nickel or Sage Ryan, I think both those guys can cover it perfectly fine. And then
Denver Harris?
Denver Harris is the one we're going to have to see. He really has not gotten any bite at first team. Hasn't gotten a ton of even second team stuff, so we're trying to figure out. And then obviously the fight happened on Monday, which didn't help. But still, we're gonna have to see if he can break into that top 2. At this moment, the second team has really been LaTerrence Welsh, a sophomore, and Ashton Stamps, a freshman. So it's a lot of musical chairs in the secondary right now.
You think there are going to be times where they play three safeties if you count Greg Brooks as a safety with Andre Sam coming onto the field?
Yes, I definitely do think that's going to be the case. Andre Sam has been one of the best surprises, I think. I knew he was going to be good out of Marshall because you just watched Marshall last year. You knew they were a well-coached defense, one of the better, top 20, 30 defense in the country. And he had a great game against Notre Dame last year. So I knew he'd be good as a sixth-year player. I just didn't expect him to be coming in and be so good that they're looking to maybe move Brooks back to nickel if they wanted to. I mean, he just kind of gives them that flexibility that Matt House has wanted in the secondary or at safety specifically. And so with that being the case, I think Andre Sampson has been one of the bright spots of the first week of camp.
So we've kind of painted the picture of the defense there. It's early, but we have some information from previous years. I mean, do you think this is a top 2 or 3 defense in the SEC? Do you think it's middle of the pack? What do you think of this as big picture?
I do think it is one of the top. Obviously, Georgia. I still think Bama's going to be really good defensively this year, even though last year they were kind of up and down. But I think LSU's in that realm of 3 or 4 for sure. I think top-end talent-wise, it's kind of my thought with the entire team, but defense especially, the top-end talent of this unit is right there with anybody in the country, obviously. Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo, Harold Perkins, Omar Speights. If you just list those as being the top 4, I mean, that's a high-level top 4. I'll also throw Major Burns into that group. I think he's going to be really good. But then you get into the depth and the other guys that have to step up, and those are where the question marks are. And so I think it's fair for fans or media or anybody like that to question if the defense can live up to that high standard that we're setting of, all right, this defense is going to have to lead this team or be good enough to get this team to a playoff. And I don't know 100% if that's the case yet, but they do have the top-end talent to do that.
Chatting with Matthew Brune, part of the On3 Network. He's Shea Dixon, Billy Embody, the Bengal Tiger on On3. Let's shift focus here a little bit to basketball. We obviously can't see it. They're in the Bahamas playing in a ballroom, but you checked out a couple of box scores. Anything jump out to you as they played 2 games?
Yeah, our boy Tyrell Ward
has
been awesome, man. We were banging on the table last year to get him on the court, and this year it looks like he's worked hard over the offseason, and through 2 games, I believe he's their leading scorer, and he's getting up a lot of shots, and he's been really efficient. So Tyrell Ward, former top 35, top 30 player in the country 2 years ago in his recruiting class. As a freshman, didn't play a ton this year. I'm expecting him to come in and be a nice, 12 to 14 point per game scorer for this team.
There's some concern based on the Florida State defensive lineman that didn't get a waiver that potentially Jalen Cook with his second transfer. I don't know anything. Do you know what the availability is of Jalen Cook as we move forward into the school year?
Yeah, when this first popped up, we reached out to sources on and around the team, and everything they heard was fine. It was all positive of Jalen Cook being good, and I believe he's not playing in the Bahamas right now because of a little injury that they're trying not to extrapolate. But yeah, I think he's going to be fine. We'll continue to check in with that as the season gets closer, but I believe he's good to go.
Is there a little part of you that would like to see 29 turnovers in a game like they had yesterday?
I'm glad I didn't watch it. That first game they had against Puerto Rico, a Puerto Rican team that had some former Division I players on it was pretty good, but still, 29 turnovers, and then the fact they allowed, I think it was 52 points in the second half was really troublesome. I will say yesterday they played much better against a much worse team, but still, first couple games, getting the feet under them. I still think this is going to be a better team this year. I'm just trying to figure out, how all the pieces work out.
Well, stay cool today. Stay hydrated. We'll see you back out there tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.